agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, we got Tristan Gomes joining me to my left. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. A couple quick house cleaning here. Still struggling to get that royal signal. Mother Nature was not kind, so much in fact that she was not kind 2 nights in a row. So we're still working out the kinks there. Hopefully we can get that back for you. So again, if you're tuning in for the Royals, we apologize. Unfortunately, still did not have that available, but we got our guy, Eric, great, working on it, and he'll be working on it some more tonight. So who knows? Maybe we will have a shot and get that up and working. But in the meantime, we'll keep it live and local since we still got shows going on. Tristan, how's it going? Like I said, after a crazy week of storms on a Monday night.
Yeah, going well. Hopefully we can get these storms out of the way a little bit, especially with, football starting up. I hope that we're not, having to sit in Memorial Stadium with just downpours and thunderstorms and have what we had a few years ago with the Akron.
I was just thinking
debut.
that. I was like, if that happens in Cincinnati, I'm going to feel like the curse is happening all over again.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, especially when you're expecting something big and then just canceled. So hopefully we can get this weather figured out, but doing well.
What's the worst? Have you ever been in a moment, like what is the worst weather game you remember where it just weather ruined it? It was maybe one of the great games you were watching, and then you just couldn't finish.
Yeah, actually, the first NFL game I went to, I was pretty young, probably 8 or so, but I went to a Chiefs game. It was Chiefs-Texans Monday Night Football, and I did not bring a sweatshirt or anything, and it just started downpouring, and I was so wet, and I was like, wow, like, cool, I'm at my first NFL game, and I'm freezing. I was there with my mom and my dad, and, like, my dad's, like, handing me his sweatshirt, and then he's freezing. I felt so bad, and I was like, well, at least I got to watch the Chiefs play. So
there you go.
Yeah. First NFL game.
My first NFL game was the Chiefs as well. Obviously, that makes sense for a lot of the Lincoln kids. It was the Russell Wilson Broncos era.
Oh.
And he scampered in for a touchdown. And I've never heard Chiefs fans so disappointed in their lives. Because this point, everyone thought Russell Wilson was just horrible at this point in his career. And Broncos actually looked good in that game. It kills me to say it, but Arrowhead's such an awesome stadium.
It is.
Not a Chiefs guy. Great stadium. I like it, especially where it's at. The parking, it's kind of like enough on the outside. It's good tailgating. It's just a bunch of gravel, big parking a lot. Fantastic stadium. So for everybody who's going to be able to enjoy that and watch the Huskers play there versus Cincinnati, can't imagine what experience that would be. And you'll probably see plenty of Chiefs players there, or at least one. I think Patrick Mahomes did say he was going to pull up to it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Hopefully he's there to, watch his guy, Dylan Raiola, just ball out.
And to upset the masses of Twitter and the X, and everyone will lose their minds again saying, look at this guy, Dylan Raiola, trying to copy Mahomes.
Yeah. We'll probably hear a little bit of that. But it'll be cool that it's the opposite, Patrick Mahomes shouting out Dylan Raiola and, being there to support him. I saw something, not sure how accurate it is, but like 60,000 or 66,000 tickets sold, 60,000 are expected to be Husker fans. So I think the Husker faithful are going to just pack Arrowhead, and it's going to feel like a home game for the Skurs, which I think is going to be super cool.
Yeah, they just got to make sure they can keep the fans in it. Because like we've talked about it before, and we'll talk about it more and more, especially as man, we're really close to it. So obviously the week before Cincinnati, it's going to be Cincinnati deep dive and what we're expecting in that game. And obviously volleyball, they're starting up too. So plenty of fall sports to talk about, but it's their backs against the wall. The Cincinnati head coach, and for the players, like I think if they understand, if they want to keep that same head coach, like they're going to need to have a good start to the season. Maybe it's not a win against Nebraska that they absolutely need, but it would do a lot for that program. So even if it's like 99% Husker fans, they still going to have to do their job and show up. Because I don't think that Cincinnati team is going to be overwhelmed. I don't think anyone's been overwhelmed of Nebraska as of late. Unfortunately, people look at Nebraska as like, people still really highly value them, but they're not that good. It's a great win for us every time because it kills me to say this. Beating Nebraska has been like such an overrated win for a long time. And it's gone on the resumes for some teams. It's like, well, you beat Nebraska. And it's like, I haven't gone bowling since 2016. Like, I get we're blue blood, but it's not the same blue blood. So hopefully we're over that era. Speaking of college football, though, we got the AP poll preseason. Top 25 came out. Nebraska did get some votes. They got 23 votes. Not enough to get in. Surprised by that at all with all the hype that has been going on?
I'm not too surprised.
Yeah.
I think there's a few teams that maybe I am surprised by, but Nebraska just went and won their first bowl game in years. So I think there's still quite a few that they have to prove. And honestly, we've seen in past years where Nebraska has showed up preseason ranked and it has not been pretty and they've just fallen right out of it. So
was that first year with Scott Frost?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they put us 23.
Yeah. And so I think that's kind of one thing that might be nice. It just puts a chip on their shoulder. Like no one really thinks that we're supposed to be a top 25 team. Let's just prove them wrong. But we also don't have to, try to prove to people like we belong here. We're ranked, 20th or something, and we should be here. I think it's just like, all right, we got nothing to lose. Let's go win some football games.
Yeah, at least the expectations they're not overwhelming. I think the line's 7.5. So it's not like the entire world is looking at you. You will have plenty of eyes on you for that Cincinnati game, just because, Thursday night game, week 1.
Yeah.
Nothing else is going to be going on the Thursday night. So you're going to have the attention of the college football nation. And we haven't done well with that spotlight so far. We did well last year with Ohio State at the big noon kickoff where we showed some fight. It would have been great if we would have won it, but we've notoriously kind of dropped those games. So hopefully I got to keep hitting at the Cincinnati game. We can take care of that one. But like I said, Nebraska's not in. I'm not surprised by it either. I don't think they should be. I'm very much so. You got to prove it. I think that's why you see some of these teams on here who you might be down on this year just because of the talent they lost, but they proved it in the past. So you'll see them in the rankings. You want to start top to bottom or bottom to top?
Let's go top to bottom.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 1, Texas Longhorns. What are your thoughts?
I like it. I really have nothing against them being number 1, besides the fact that I think there's so many expectations for Arch Manning. I almost am like, I mean, they have 5-star after 5-star. They had an unbelievable season last year. I think they had pretty solid turnover, and they're going to be a great team. But you need a good quarterback if you want to be successful in college football and, be that number 1 team. So Arch Manning can definitely do that. I think we're going to see a lot and probably have a lot of questions answered week 1 in the shoe for Texas against Ohio State, which if Arch Manning goes and wins that game,
oh, dear Lord,
everyone's going to, I mean, it's going to be unbelievable. Social media is going to explode. But if he goes and wins that game, I think that solidifies Texas as just the number 1. And we're really going to be like, oh, this might be the year for Texas.
Yeah. And, even if they drop it, oh, well, Texas is number 3.
Exactly.
As we'll get to. So,
and then Ohio State's number 1. Like, that's all.
There's not going to be a whole lot of movement there.
Yeah.
So either team, ironically, can afford to drop that game. And now give it Texas SEC schedule. They still got a pretty well good gauntlet ahead of them, but it's not going to kill them if they drop that week 1 opener. It's like I said, Ohio State number 3, but at number 2, seems like a lot of people's favorites this year just because of returning talent and arguably one of the best quarterbacks in college football right now with Drew Aller. The defense really held up for him a lot last year. Aller was good until really postseason. So I'm okay with them at 2. It still feels a little high for me. I was not overly impressed with Penn State last year. I think there's quite a few teams that I'd still throw ahead. I think they're a top 5, but I don't know right at 2.
Yeah, I think they're top 5. And I think talent-wise, you look at that roster and you can say, all right, you're returning way more guys from a top team compared to these other top teams. But you think about the big games, you think about that Ohio State game last year that they dropped, the Big Ten championship that they dropped, and then they lose to Notre Dame. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's 3 losses. So, yes, you have a lot of guys returning, but that's still 3 losses in a season to other top teams. So, are you going to be able to beat those teams this year? We'll see how they do against Oregon, Ohio State, and then once that college football playoff gets there, which hopefully they make, more than likely, I think they will. But I think 2 makes sense just because of the roster, but they're gonna have to show that they earned that spot.
Who's in the bigger pressure cooker? Is it Sarkisian or Franklin? Penn State or Texas? Because they both got lofty expectations and they both got knocked out. And but even before, I think they were both second round knockouts, right? Well, no, Penn
Um,
State made it to.
I think they were both semifinal because I think it
Okay,
was
yeah.
Ohio State, Texas. Ohio State won that one, and then Notre Dame, Penn State.
Yeah, I
Notre
keep
Dame won that
forgetting
one.
Texas didn't have the bye. Arizona State
Yeah,
had that bye. So yeah, they made it the same distance. They both have extreme and lofty expectations. I still feel like James Franklin has so much pressure on him. I
Yeah.
can't help but like Penn State's never done it. And I like Drew Aller. I ironically don't like him as much as Manning, even though I haven't seen a lot of him.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Eller, I think I've said this before, but he seems like a guy who is extremely talented. When he's playing, some other teams, the Big Ten, it shows. You see that and you're like, this is a real good quarterback. And then I think in those big games, sometimes we see him struggle a little bit or make a few, just few bad plays that really cost Penn State. I'm going to have to go with Penn State being the team and James Franklin that, kind of needs to pull through this year. Because James Franklin at Big Ten Media Days said this is the most talented Penn State team that he's ever had. And if that's the case, you've had other Penn State teams that are, top 10 teams with good talent. So if this is the best one, you think of that as a national championship team. So I think I got to go with Penn State because Texas, I mean, it's Texas, but still moving into a new conference, had one great year last year, first season. But Penn State really, I mean, they haven't been winning the Big Ten. But I think this is national championship or almost bust for James Franklin, or we can't expect James Franklin to, win in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and that's always tough. Like when you make those comments, like this is the best team that I've coached. It's like if you go another 9-win season, people are going to be upset because then those words mean that you failed as a coach.
As a coach, yeah, because it means all right, you have the talent for it. Now it's just up to the coaches to set this team up for success and, instill this confidence into his players. And so if Penn State doesn't win it, I think it's almost all on James Franklin.
Yeah. And then you don't fire him still probably, which is the weird part. It's like, you're not going to move on from him, but you're just going to have that little bit of like, you're upset. I don't think they'll ever go full Bo Pelini route where they just can a guy who's winning that much. Yeah. And Penn State, to be fair, hasn't been getting blown out in the same ways that I still don't think we ever should have fired Pelini. But we were getting blown out in some of those games. I'll never forget. I think it was my senior year, 2018. Can't remember what the final score was, but it was Nebraska, Ohio State. And I want to say they dropped 60 on us.
Yeah.
And we maybe put up 7. So we did have some, we're not seeing Penn State beat that bad, but they still run into those, couple drives where it really matters when they're playing at Ohio State, when they're playing in Michigan, or, really any tough opponent, especially if they have one on the non-con schedule. Although today, nobody really schedules tough opponents on their non-cons. They're always just a few plays away or a couple of bad breaks. So Penn State, I'm rooting for him. I'm definitely not rooting for Texas over Penn State, but it's a tough road when your expectations are that high and you've never achieved it. Kind of where Nebraska was at, where we've had good players. I think the culture was just, here we go again.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that happens a little bit with Penn State when they're playing some of those juggernauts. Like it's our opportunity and oh my God, here we go again. There's a fumble, there's a bad throw, or worst case scenario, their defense fails on them because the defense has been the thing that just keeps them alive all the time. Moving on. Number 3, Ohio State. So 1, 2, 3. Any problems there?
No problems there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State was higher. Just reigning national champion. Brian Day seems like he's solidified himself as, a really good head coach in college football. I wouldn't have been surprised if they were number 1, honestly.
I thought they might be as well.
Yeah. I mean, lost quite a few guys, but I mean, it's Ohio State. Here's another 5-star that's stepping up. So, I like number 3 or higher. I would have been totally good with.
I wonder how much losing Kelly is going to hurt that team because that offense was electric with him. And it really took strides that Ohio State I don't think seen before. Well, I shouldn't say that. They've had some great offenses, but that was another level for them. Losing him and then they lost some talent. That feels about perfect for me. I would put them above Penn State, but I'd still have number 4 at 2. The only changes I'd make with the top 5, I'd probably still go. I don't know if I'd want to go Texas 1. I would ironically I'd have to keep Texas 1 because I do think they're just loaded. Penn State, I'd swap out for Clemson. Clemson's at 4. So I'd go Texas, Clemson, Ohio State, Penn State, then Georgia. Thoughts on Clemson, number 4. We talked about him. ACC's, beauty child, golden ticket. You got Dabo Swinney talking about being the first team to go 16-0. Taking his shots already. The schedule somewhat lines up for it. It's not like they just got these easy games, though. They got that tough LSU early in the season. Clemson, number 4.
I don't mind it. I honestly, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if they were also higher because I think Clemson maybe had down years in a sense for Clemson, but they were still, winning football games. And even last year we saw them win that ACC championship. So they're a good team. And I think sometimes we forget how good Dabo Swinney really is. Like he's won national championships. Like he's led really good teams. And this seems like a season where you have a veteran quarterback, which is huge in college football. I think we're just going to have to see like how well they do in that ACC. Because if we're seeing them have close games, I'm going to be a little worried.
Oh, for sure.
If they drop that one at home to LSU, you're a little worried. But with the talent and the coaching staff, I like them up there because I think they're going to win the ACC with no problem.
All right, we got about 5 minutes here. We'll go 5 through 10, and you just tell me the teams that stick out to you or ones you want to dive into a little bit more. Number 5, Georgia. So that flushes out your top 5. Then 6, Notre Dame. 7, Oregon. 8, still some hope in Alabama. Number 9, LSU. And 10, Miami.
I got 2 that I am not sure deserve their spots. Number 1 being Alabama.
I was gonna take a swing at that. And is LSU the other?
Miami is the other. Actually.
Okay.
So with Alabama, 1, they're going to a new quarterback, and we saw last year that they lost some pretty bad games. You lose it to Oklahoma, you lose to Vanderbilt. Those are 2 games that you really should never lose if you're Alabama.
Yeah.
If you're Bama, you don't lose those games. So,
and is that? Sorry to interrupt. Are we 2 years? Like, was last season 2 years removed from Saban or just 1?
No, I think last year was DeBoer's first year.
That's a tough fall to lose to Vandy year 1.
Exactly.
But still the Saban loaded rosters.
Yeah.
And culture.
Yeah.
8 feels tough for Alabama.
8 feels tough. And especially with a new quarterback, I mean, you have quite a few guys that haven't proved themselves, and you have a coach that still hasn't proved himself in the SEC. So I think they have a decent schedule. I know they still have Georgia on there. So I think that's a game that we'll see, like, all right, what kind of Alabama are we getting? They also have Florida State. They have Wisconsin. So, like, they have some other, non-conference, Power 4 games.
Is it coaching or wrong quarterback? Because Milroe was nice, but he certainly had his moments.
He had his moments. I think there were just times where, maybe there were some mistakes or the little bit of inaccuracy. But, I mean, you're the head coach. You decide who the quarterback is, right? Yeah. So you instill them with the confidence. You say, go lead this team. If they're not the right guy, you have to find someone else. So new quarterback there, which I'm never super high on a new quarterback. I think you have to prove yourself a little bit. So that's why I think Bama should be just a little bit lower because they didn't prove last year that they, it's another Nick Saban-esque culture in a sense. They didn't prove that last year with DeBoer.
Yeah, and missed the playoffs and the expanded playoffs.
An expanded playoffs. So that's why I'm a little low on Bama.
I'd kick him out. I just would. DeBoer's got to prove it to me that he's still got that culture alive. And I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Same way I give Matt Rule the benefit of the doubt. You whiffed on the quarterback. Jeff Sims, absolute whiff. Milroe wasn't as bad as a whiff. No. And I understand he's been in the system. Curious to see, if we'll see what the quarterback, how good and consistent he can be. But if they get more consistency from their quarterback, if we can get more close to what Alabama used to be. Because again, they almost dropped the Auburn game too. That came to a last second Hail
what
Mary.
A play. Yeah, because Auburn rushed 2 guys. So I mean,
it's crazy. So I'm not I don't necessarily not like Alabama, but I think this is just a way too high for them unless they prove it. If they prove it this year, then we can go back to the Alabama favoritism where we just sneak them in that top 10 AP poll every single time preseason. But yeah, you don't got any problems with LSU being at 9?
I don't think so. I mean, I put Brian Kelly in a similar, spot as James Franklin. It seems like he's not winning a lot of the big games in his tenure at LSU. They do have a great quarterback though. And I'm pretty high on LSU. I think they're probably going to be the 3rd team in from the SEC, or 4th team. Between them or Bama, I think is going to be 3 and 4.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's kind of my thought. So I think they are a good team. I honestly don't know if they're 9, but I would put them ahead of Bama as of now.
I would certainly. There's quite a few teams I'd put. And again, like, especially when you're just looking at the wins and losses here. And that's why I think Oregon is kind of getting disrespected. The only undefeated team at number 7. And I get it, but I don't at the same time. They lost to the champion. Everyone lost to the champion, and they get slapped in the face and go all the way down to 7. I should take a peek at the Oregon schedule. Is it overly brutal? Maybe that's why?
I don't think so. I mean, they have Penn State at Penn State, so that's obviously a tough one. But even if you drop that, I think they're sitting pretty well. I think they're at Iowa, maybe.
They got a nice schedule.
I don't think it's too bad, yeah.
No, I mean, they got some tougher games for sure. Scheduling Oklahoma State as a non-con is bold, and it sounds ridiculous to call it bold, but in today's era of college football, it's bold if you schedule anybody who has the slightest chance of beating you. But they start off Montana State, Oklahoma State, and they don't hit the road until Northwestern, so you're like 3-0 there. You get Oregon State at home. Toughest games are Penn State, Indiana, Iowa. And then if you're high on USC, which are you?
I'm not super high on them. I think they have a lot to prove before we can really appreciate
They
them.
feel like a Nebraska's realm. Like we're both kind of battling on, like, can we make that next step and finally be a team that's respected? I think Oregon's ahead of them. So you're really looking at 2 games, and that's betting on Kurt Cignetti to kind of be, 3 games. I forgot Iowa again, but I like Oregon's offense much more against Iowa's conservative defense and special teams. So, they have a legitimate shot, especially if they beat Penn State, to go for another undefeated run.
Yeah.
Like, it's set up for them. And I do think they got Lanning as one of the best college football coaches in the game right now. Like, his game preparation, you're going to be hard pressed to find one who does it better, because it was the Ohio State that first time around where he knew, I can't remember the exact situations, but he went through some rabbit hole rules to figure out how to essentially, I can't remember what it was. What do you remember exactly what he did?
So
was it to get time off the clock, or was it to?
It was pretty much that they were going to get a 5-yard penalty for 12 guys on the field.
That's
but they
right.
were going to add, but they were going to add another guy, and the time was going to click from the play. So he pretty much said, "We'll put 12 guys on." Pretty much cheat and say, "Well, we know you're throwing the ball. We'll put 12 guys onto the field to try to stop you," which they did. But then I think, want to say, 10, 12 seconds go off the clock for that play, and they just get a 5-yard addition to it. And then next play, I want to say Will Howard tried to break the pocket and get a few extra yards.
Time expired.
So
fell right into his trap. I forgot. Yeah, just a genius move.
Which is just crazy. I can't imagine being like, "Oh yeah, let's add another guy. Let's take this 5-yard penalty." Like, just the quick thinking. But he said they did it in practice. Like, they thought about the situation. So
it was intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Just a bold move to be like, "We'll play 12 on this one."
Yeah.
we'll take the 5 yards. We'll play 12. We don't care.
Yeah.
And they had to make a rule.
Exactly.
And change it because he exposed it. So that's the preparation you're going up against. A guy that they have to change the rule book for. So that's why I think 7's a little bit disrespectful for the only undefeated team in all of college football last year, and arguably one of the best coaches in the league right now. Maybe it's because they're down on more. We'll see, but I'm going to trust the coaching and what we saw last year. It's not like they got absolutely ravaged by the portal or a bunch of guys graduating. They still got a decent amount returning. So I think it's a little bit low for him. Definitely a top 5 team, or where would you put him? Top 5 or no?
I would put them at 5. I think it's just tough because you have a few teams like Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon. I think those 3 teams could be, 5, or you could, even mix them in with Clemson. Like Oregon head-to-head Clemson right now. What an unbelievable game that would be. So I think anything after maybe the Texas, Penn State, Ohio State is where Oregon could fit in.
I agree. That's probably what they are, very similar to Clemson, where they're in a tougher conference though. But the way the schedule's lined up for them, really just 3 games that I think can really test them. I'm expecting them to have another really good year and probably be another Big Ten team going to the college football playoffs. With that being said, we do got to throw it to break here. Tristan Gomes, Harrison Arens, you guys are always welcome to join in via the Sarger Heeman text line. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man. You, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
When you live a tobacco-free life, you're free to live more fully. You're free to be more active and to breathe easier when you are, to be more present with family and friends, and to enjoy food and drinks more fully without nicotine dulling your senses. Tobacco-free can mean better physical health, mental health, and financial health. Giving up tobacco can give you more life. Learn more at quitnow.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired in association with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I could tell something wasn't right. My buddy Jake just wasn't himself. He seemed down. I was concerned about him and asked if he was thinking about suicide.
We all have a role in preventing suicide. Know the warning signs. They may not seem like themselves, be depressed, withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talking about suicide. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, got Tristan Gomes to my left, breaking down the preseason AP Top 25 poll, because we always know it's always perfect. It never changes. I will say in the top 10 that we all talked to, give me the team that you think is going to take the most wild swing in the first 3 weeks, whether you're super hot or super cold. And actually, you know what? Let's go a little bit further. Let's go to 20 here, because that way we'll get, 11 through 20 as well as one of those teams will, you think, swing into the top 10 after those first, we'll say 5 weeks, a couple weeks out of non-con. So at number 11, Arizona State. And we talked about that team a lot because just about everybody's back. I think it's just like 2 guys on offense and maybe just 2 guys on defense.
Yeah. I mean, you lose Cam Scatabo, who was just absolutely
and really did
unreal.
A lot for him in the playoffs.
Yeah. Like he was, when they needed a yard, when they needed 20 yards, it was, hey, let's get this guy the ball. So you lose him, but I still think Kenny Dillingham's a great coach. And you have a returning quarterback in Sam Levitt, who I think is a top 10, maybe top 5 quarterback in college football right now.
I mean, he was the top 11 quarterback when we were recruiting him as well. He made that top 11 camp, and he finished top. I can't remember if he was where he exactly finished, but he made it all the way to the end. So, I mean, it's not like he's this nobody who came out of Arizona State who just, like, people knew he was legit. And now he's coming back with more experience. And it's not like, was he sophomore, junior?
Yeah.
Junior year?
So,
I mean, junior year, I expect a lot from Arizona State. That's a team where I'm kicking Bama out or LSU out. Or if you like LSU, that's fine. Or definitely Miami. But I think Arizona State, especially with the conference that they're in, with the talent they have coming back, I don't see a lot of teams that are going to be able to stop them.
I am curious, real quick, on your thoughts. So, like, when we look at these rankings as we go through them, do you think that these are the preseason rankings? Are they because of who we think is how it's going to end based on just like the wins and losses? Or do you really think like the team ahead is better than the team behind them?
The way I look at it is like they're projecting what it's going to look like at the end of the year. So I think you have to take games into account.
Okay. Because I think that makes total sense. Because I mean, I'm just looking at, we'll get to it, but like ASU, I think has a better chance of ending higher than maybe Bama just because of Bama's schedule. I mean, and Bama has improved a whole bunch, but they still have Georgia. They have 2 tough non-conferences. But I do like ASU, and I expect them to win the Big 12 again. I'm pretty high on them and just their coaching staff. And I think once you've done it once, it makes it kind of easier, like the blueprint to how to do it again.
Yeah, and I guess if it's just projecting the national championship, that could be the other way you go about it. That's a great question. If it just goes by the wins and losses, or if it goes by who can be an actual champion, but then you're still looking at the wins and losses because you're not getting in if you got. So I think like either way you look at it, they're going to meet.
They're
in the
pretty
middle.
similar, yeah.
So, but nonetheless, we'll keep moving on here. Number 12, Illinois. 13, South Carolina. 14, Michigan, still holding some respect. 15, Florida. Any of those 4 interest you?
I'm high in Illinois. I think there's a lot of people that are. I know you are as well. Luke Altmaier, I think, is a great quarterback. You are returning so many guys and from a pretty solid Illinois team last year, and you have the schedule to do it. If 4 teams from the Big Ten make it, I'm going with Illinois. So maybe 12 is perfect for them, but I think by the end of the year, they'll have a higher ranking than 12.
Yeah, we went through their schedule a few times already, and ironically, I think perfectly 13 South Carolina. Like those guys faced off at the end of the year, and it was razor wire close. Illinois kind of Big Ten West their way through at the very end, even though there is no more Big Ten West. But I think 13 South Carolina is perfect. Again, Selder's coming back, big deal, and another one of the great coaches in Beamer. Michigan, I have no idea. This feels like a make or break year for Michigan.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's going to fall on Underwood's shoulders. And if he can perform as a true freshman, It actually feels about right because I think they can definitely slide out or slide right into the top 10 because, again, last year, I think they beat the champion, Ohio State, and they did it with an offense that was woeful all year. They still find a way to really compete in games just playing Michigan ball the way they always do. You like Michigan at 14?
I don't mind it. Like I said, I think that's a perfect spot for them because I think they could either drop way out or maybe it's Michigan that we saw with Jim Harbaugh in their back. That's a game that I'm super excited for Nebraska because I think that Nebraska game is one where Nebraska could get like their first big win under Matt Rule or just their first big win in years. So I would be really happy with that. But I think Michigan at 14 is just like, we have no clue what we're going to expect. You do have a 5-star quarterback. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we really need a big win. The last big win was Oregon way back, I think, that I can really remember.
Yeah,
we played them at home.
Yeah, I think that was my freshman year of high school was when that was. So yeah, years ago.
And I went to that game as well, and it was awesome. I was the one where they put flowers down. Oregon Class Act, they put flowers down. Obviously, in memory of Fultz, and then we ended up pulling that one out. Unfortunately, Oregon kind of fell apart, so our great win wasn't actually as great as we thought. And yeah, other than that, you can't really think of one. Unless you count the Bad Boy Boomers Bowl win over Boston College, just 'cause it's the bowl game. But I don't think we're really calling that one
I would hope we're not calling that a big win. Yeah.
I mean, it was a big win emotionally to get that off the back, but in terms of wow, we're one of the best teams in college football right now. No, absolutely not.
It's Boston College, but yes, huge for the program.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Florida 15, 16, SMU 17, Kansas State 18, Oklahoma 19, Texas A&M, and 20, Kurt Cignetti's Indiana Hoosiers. I feel like Indiana's getting a little bit slightly disrespected here. Maybe Oklahoma a little bit overvalued because they didn't really figure it at all last year.
Yeah. New quarterback, talked about a little bit, John Mateer, transfer. I think he's going to be good, but also Oklahoma last year, just watching them, they had that Bama win, but Bama, if we're being honest, Bama almost handed it to them. There were quite a few just plays, I think interceptions, turnovers that just changed that whole game.
And that was where the Milroe or coach problem came up, but at the end of the day, it all falls under the coach. But the Milroe's inconsistency would certainly grant teams wins at times.
Yeah, exactly that. But I don't think they've transitioned well to the SEC, so I don't expect them to, just be dominating the SEC, winning a whole bunch of games. Because I want to say maybe that end of the year being ranked 18th, what is that? Maybe 3-4 losses or so. And I think they're going to have quite a few more. I don't know their schedule exactly, but just when I think of the SEC,
well, they got Texas. We know that
they got Texas. Yeah. When I look at the SEC, I don't see Oklahoma, winning those bigger games if they're playing some top tier SEC teams.
From text line here, since we're speaking on it, we do have John in Cortland. He does mention it. Talking about Texas, they should lose to the Sooners. Either way, Longhorns says spit, pile Bevo into the dirt, horns down. So we do get the classic love for Texas Longhorns out here. Yeah, I would love for that to happen. I don't see it, unfortunately, for Oklahoma. I don't really care so much for either of those teams, though. But I do think Texas should be able to handle that one pretty easily. Any of those teams like 11 through 20 that you would want to swing into the top 10 and maybe move some teams around?
I think Illinois, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up in the top 10, maybe over Bama or so, if Bama does struggle with that SEC schedule and Illinois is who we think they are. I'm on board with ASU. I think they're going to, I'm not sure if they're a top 10 team. Like if we put them in the SEC, are they winning a whole bunch of games? Not sure. But I think record wise and just win wise, I think by the end of the year, when the college football playoff rankings come out, I think they're going to be in that. I don't know if there's any, like I said, Bama out. I think I would take Miami out because I think Clemson is just going to run through that ACC. And Miami, I think they pretty much have to win every single game, maybe besides they have to make it to the ACC championship. But if they don't make it, I don't think they're in the college football playoffs. I think they got to go pretty much undefeated until they play Clemson and they can lose that one. But other than that, I'm not super high on the Hurricanes right now.
Yeah, I'm about the same. I maybe bump Indiana a little bit more, but I can understand why they're being conservative, keeping them all the way down there at 20. I really don't have too many problems at all with this AP list outside of a couple of teams. The last, Ole Miss, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Tennessee, and 25, last man in, Boise State. Feel good about all those. Again, I'd kick Tennessee out just because I think we'll see what it looks like when you try to get a new quarterback in there, when you're super heavy reliant on your quarterback for understanding and really controlling the entire offense. And then he ups and leaves at a really crucial time. So I think that's going to be a challenge for him. And I'm not saying it'll be a failure, but it might be tough early. And especially if, they get at those non-con games and he doesn't look like an absolute stud and you start getting to those tougher games. Boise State at 25 feels about right. Again, you're losing obviously the best running back of the year last year, but you're given that favoritism because they were a college football playoff team last year. Teams that received votes: BYU, Utah, Baylor, Louisville, USC, Georgia Tech, Missouri, Tulane, Nebraska. Tulane and Nebraska both tied with 23. UNLV, Toledo, Auburn. James Madison sneaks in there. Memphis, Florida, Duke, Liberty, Navy gets votes. Iowa still getting some votes. TCU, Pittsburgh, Army, Colorado, surprisingly, still getting some votes, which Deion Sanders, hype train, maybe they can still have a good year. And then Louisiana, Lafayette. Any of those teams that just receiving votes, Colorado getting votes still kind of surprised me. Because again, like last year, despite having a Heisman winner and a quarterback who people thought was going to be a first round draft pick, you lost both of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not like your offensive line's ever been a strength and your run game's been a strength. You've really relied on your elite skill players, and you just lost the two best skill players to run through that program in a very long time. I don't really like giving them any votes. I think there's going to be a lot of teams ahead of them this year. I could be wrong, though. We'll see if Deion's hype train and working through the transfer portal, if he can keep working his magic. But, again, to be fair, last year, he didn't really work his magic with what he had. There was however you want to call it, I think it was a disappointing season for Colorado.
Yeah, I also think, though, Colorado, prior to Deion getting there, they were bad. They were winning one game a season. So I think Deion got there, and then we saw that they had, Shedeur and Travis Hunter. And so maybe we put super high expectations on them without recognizing, is their offensive line really that great? How's their defense? But maybe it was just because Shedeur and Travis were there that we heard a lot more about, the transfer portal and the guys they were bringing in. But it was the offensive line last year that struggled. And maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't hear a whole bunch of movement from them in the portal this year when it came to the offensive line. So I'm not, and you got a new quarterback.
The quarterback battle. That's also makes me shaky. I don't ever like that heading into a season.
I don't like it either. We've seen it, with plenty of other teams. Michigan did it last year. Nebraska even kind of tried it when they had Luke McCaffrey here and almost
disaster.
And it just doesn't work. Yeah, I think the great teams, the ones where you just know your quarterback and they just lead the team. They're a leader. So I'm not super high on Colorado. I do have one question for you. When it comes to Tennessee at 24, if Nico is still there, where do you rank them?
I'd probably put him near, honestly, that 15 to 20 range. I don't know who I'd want to move around, but I think if they're set at quarterback, I do think Tennessee can be pretty dangerous. I think that offense would have been electric because that first, he had a great year.
Mm-hmm. Well, they made the college football playoff last year, too.
Exactly.
And
they were phenomenal. It just really worries me. Unless they found, unless they get that part figured out, then I have no problem sliding him back in there, but I got to see it because he was great. And unfortunately, he was so great, he demanded a hell of a lot more money and it just fizzled out for him. And they didn't want to pay him. And now he's over there at UCLA, which just makes the Big Ten more interesting. And I think that's going to be another sneaky game for Nebraska. We get a go play him on the road, which would be nice. But at the same time, I do think UCLA is going to be upgraded. Without Eric Bieniemy, we'll see. But that's UCLA got better, and I think Tennessee got worse.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. We'll see. Maybe the guy there. Do you know who they're plugging in? I'm blanking on his name.
I'm not sure for Tennessee at quarterback. Tennessee. Well, I think UCLA actually had one of their transfers, a quarterback transfer. Once Nico signed, had their quarterback transfer over to Tennessee. They kind of just flip spots. So, yeah, I am not sure who they have started. And just having a question mark at the quarterback position is always tough. Makes things way harder.
Yeah, they're still in a competition.
Yeah.
So first scrimmage, they are still in quarterback battle. So we still don't even know.
Yeah.
So again, that just makes me very worried for Tennessee because they obviously knew what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Now, especially if you don't have that same level of talent of a quarterback, you're reworking how your offense and how aggressive you can really be. And you all of a sudden throws that you once had, you're going to have to take them out of the playbook because maybe you just don't trust it. Kind of like
new guy learning a new system too. You had a guy that knew the system. Now you don't.
Yeah. And it's in my mind, probably one of the tougher systems to learn just because they put a lot on your shoulders out there. So Tennessee, I'm down on him. I don't really care if I'm wrong or right about it. It's not like I'm a Tennessee fan, but I'm going to be surprised if they have instant success.
I agree.
Down the year, if they start turning it up and they look better, I can make sense of that early on, though. Outside of the non-con games, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Tennessee. With that being said, we do got to throw it to another break here. Don't go anywhere. Take a Weeknights. Harrison Arens, Tristan Gomes.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Show up when friends need help. We check in on our neighbors. That's why it's important to know the warning signs of suicide. If you have a friend or neighbor who's withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talks about suicide, find out how you can help. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. You have the power to save a life. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Play ball! Haymarket Park is buzzing with excitement this summer. Grab your crew and get in on the fun. Be sure to catch all the daily specials and promotions this season, like Thirsty Thursday, Fireworks Friday, Souvenir Saturday, Family Fun Day Sunday, plus special events and discounts all summer long. Don't miss out on the action as the Lincoln Salt Dogs take on their biggest rivals and knock the ball out of the park. Visit saltdogs.com and see this week's promotions and grab your tickets.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Harrison Arens, Tristan Gomes went through the AP poll preseason top 25 college football teams, and we're going to switch it up. Talk NFL. We got through week 1 of preseason. We had some pretty interesting games. My Bears, unfortunately, ended up in a draw. That's unfortunate. I don't think either team enjoys going into the locker room in that type of scenario. But you also saw a lot of the young players that people were hoping to see play good, some not so great. Anything over the preseason, obviously, 70-yard field goal was incredible. Anything in that week 1 really stick out to you so far?
I think I was just mostly focused on the quarterback play. I think that's what a lot of people were looking at, just because, I mean, Shador, we saw him earlier in the preseason schedule and he kind of balled out, and everyone's like, well, why were other teams not drafting him? Why weren't the Saints drafting him? Why weren't, the Giants drafting him? Why weren't these other teams taking Shador? And then we see what he did. We did touch on it on Saturday. I really like the idea that in preseason football, if you struggle, we're pretty worried. If you have a little bit of success, then that means you have the shot once, the regular season comes around. Not saying, you're going to be great, but you have a chance, I believe. So, but Jackson Dart, I'm pretty high on Jackson Dart. I'm just a fan of him, his demeanor, his confidence, and he was just kind of fun to watch at Ole Miss. And he stood in the pocket, touchdown pass to little Jordan Humphrey. That was fun to watch, and had quite a few yards with a solid completion percentage on the day. So I'm pretty high on him. I'm just curious what the Giants' idea is with him. Are we going to let Russell Wilson just run the show for as long as possible, or is the plan to get Jackson Dart in there soon?
Yeah, and he threw a nice dart to Fedoni as well. So we had some Huskers. Obviously, shout out Ty Robinson. That was some of the rookies that we got to see, and then Fedoni, nice athletic grab to kind of put you on the map. I mean, he had to really high point that one. So you guys see some Huskers too. Get some opportunities, and then also some of the, not even just all rookies. Jordan Love, shaky, not great. I like that. Obviously, him being a Packer, but you're preseason, NFL, the Packers. Like, when you see that, do you really care when he kind of struggled in a preseason game?
I think you don't worry too much, especially with it's a guy that you've seen, be successful in like previously, like in the regular season NFL, and have some opportunities in the postseason. So I don't think you worry too much. You don't dig too deep in it, because I think that can only worry yourself as a fan and as a player. But it was cool to see. I was upset, just with the Packers, how they played as a Packers fan. But it was cool to see Adrian Martinez out there.
He played well.
Jets. He played really well. So that was another one that was fun to watch. I'm hoping that he just solidifies himself behind Justin Fields as that backup. So if anything, God forbid, does happen, we get to see a little bit more Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, I think he can definitely work his way up. That starting spot, though, is going to be tough, because Justin Fields also played pretty well.
Yeah.
You got to see his athleticism. And I don't know if you caught it. There was one play where he scrambled out and ran. Hollywood acting by the wide receiver.
Oh, that wasn't even the receiver. It was the running back.
Oh, that's right.
Which is even crazier. Yeah. He's run routes before, but like just big brained right there. Just like, oh, Justin Fields is coming my way. And I'm not sure if it was a corner or maybe a linebacker was like all over, and he's just like, oh God, ball's coming to him. And then he just turns around and it's like Justin Fields just ran in. Yeah.
It's crazy like how those IQ plays can do so much damage. But yeah, for everyone who missed it, Justin Fields scrambles out, and you're right, it was the running back. Running back notices it, and he just starts putting his hands up, freaking out, like, oh boy, here comes a touchdown right to my hands. And then if the defender would have just, he had 5 seconds to turn around, and he would have got an easy hit. Well, Justin Fields, maybe not easy, but certainly a good opportunity to stop him from getting there. And then he just locked in with that running back the entire time.
Exactly. Chased him all the way to the back of the end zone. So that was pretty funny to see. But yeah, Justin Fields, another guy I hope has, some success. I feel like he's been in a few places where they've just kind of thrown him to the curb or not given him maybe his flowers. Not that he, has done extraordinary things, but he's showed glimpses that he could be a good quarterback. So I have high hopes for Justin Fields in New York with the Jets.
And we talked about already, Anthony Richardson, just dislocated the finger, so he's going to be fine. It's actually not that big of a deal. You think we'll see him week 2 out there again?
I think they might, want to just make sure he is okay. It's on the throwing finger. But I think it's just tough when you're the Colts and you're dealing with, all right, we got Anthony Richardson, who, maybe struggled a little bit last year. And we have Daniel Jones, who hasn't, got the praise or much praise.
And he doesn't need any preseason, to be honest. Like at this point in his career.
Exactly.
You don't really need him to get a whole lot of preseason work.
Yeah. It's I'm not going to say worrisome for the Colts, but it's just like, it's kind of tough that these are our two options. But is there anyone that you, maybe not just this past week, but in particular with preseason, coming along, that you want to see a little bit more of?
People want to see more of, Tyler Warren's still a curiosity for me. Still sticking with the Colts. He was all right. I didn't see anything too electric from him. Being biased, like I'm super intrigued anytime the Eagles are playing now. Like Ty Robinson, he looks good. Like, and the biggest, markup on his card was his hand length, and he's short. He's going to have and which is true, especially in the defensive line. Like you're going to have a tough time shedding blocks. They're going to get your arms on you way faster. Was not the case for him, at least so far in preseason. There was a few moments where obviously they're going to get the best of him at times, but he did a really good job just initiating that first contact so he could make his move. And it was a little twist how he got his first sack, so there was some trickery. But even on the one-on-one stuff, I thought he did a good job. Again, it's tough to pick out highlights because he's not always over pursuing. He's just keeping the contain in there. But you weren't seeing him just leave massive gaps where he's chasing too much or he's just getting blown back. So I got some pretty high expectations for Ty Robinson. And then I mentioned it before. It's just good to see Fedoni. There's some of these guys that their careers don't go well as a Husker and you're just kind of down and out on. You're like, well, I hope. Like, don't get me wrong. I hope for it, but I just don't necessarily see it. Fedoni, he's still got a road to go, but, I don't think that tight end room's super loaded over there. And if he can keep putting, athletic plays out there like that, and really that's more valuable than ever these days if you can get those tight ends who are just great receivers, freak athletes. Not to call him Kelsey, but he's kind of can be that Kelsey build where he's just a freak athlete who is arguably, a better receiver than he is a blocker. So he's going to have a unique role. I'm pretty intrigued on Giants are going to be fun because, we'll see what Fedoni does, at least in preseason, and then Eagles, of course. And then Bengals. Shamar Stewart didn't play great either, which I thought was a little bit ironic because the whole Bengals fiasco with the contract, and then they finally do it, and he kind of gives you a nothing burger. So it's a little disappointing. Anybody for you that we've missed on?
I don't think I think I maybe touched on him. I think I'm just really curious, not that I'm a fan or anything, just this Saints situation with Tyler Shuck and, Spencer Rattler. And you just don't have, you see what Shadur's done so far. And you saw that Tyler Shuck threw a pick 6. And so I think there's just a few different things that you're a little worried about, or just did these teams make the right decision? So I think I'm more just curious to see how these decisions play out that GMs and organizations made. But we'll see. It was nice. It was a good weekend to finally see some football again, see some action. So I'm just happy that football's back.
Yeah, I am too. It's phenomenal. It's good to see all the new faces, new coaches as well. That's the other part of it. For me, obviously getting to watch Ben Johnson get fired up there and all the new faces were pretty much back. I know it's just preseason, but at least there's football on TV. And like we said, I won't be, but plenty of you guys will be in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium watching Nebraska take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Appreciate you guys listening. That's Tristan Gomez. I'm Harrison Arns. Don't go anywhere. More Ticket Weeknights. Me and Jeffrey Calhoun up next.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you.